While things didn't go nearly as well as Kentucky fans had hoped when Texas A&M came a-courting for 13-year veteran Mark Stoops at Kentucky, maybe there's another opportunity for a team in maroon to swoop Stoopsy boy off his feet and away from Lexington. What's cooking? Welcome back into another edition of Now We Can Talk Like Fans on ESPN Louisville Plus. My name is Justin Soforo, and I feel like I need to clear the air for just a second. I don't know. Maybe I need to use the Sirius camera. Let's use the Sirius camera right away. Early on, can you hear me? Testing, 1, 2. All right, let's have a talk. I understand. This is ESPN Louisville Plus. For those of you that are just finding this channel now or finding Now We Can Talk Like Fans, this is a channel where we talk all things. I say it all the time. Cards, cats, bourbon and bluegrass, everything in between. We'll have a little sip of our favorite bourbon, a little Weller, whatever you may love the most. I like Michter's. Michter's 10-year, the 2023, 2013 year was my favorite. But anyway, we can have a sip and we can talk cards and cats and everything in between. Also, this is on ESPN Louisville Plus. Somebody on ESPN Louisville wants to holler at me. At the same time, for you all just finding this, ESPN Louisville means the city of Louisville in the state of Kentucky. It doesn't mean ESPN, gocards.com. That's what it means. All right, let's just get into it. Let's actually talk about the news story of the day, and that is the latest article over on 247 Sports, written by one Amber Marie, talking about the potential suitors for who could be replacing the outgoing Brent Pry at Virginia Tech. And this whole story is a little bit behind a paywall. They threw out a few different names for who they would like to see come to Virginia Tech, who could potentially replace them. They throw out the names James Franklin, now that he's fresh on the market. They throw out Shane Beamer. Of course, the prodigal son could come home and take over old Frank's role there. What have happened, we'll see. They threw out Dan Mullen, Manny Diaz, Alex Golesh, Ryan Silverfield, John Summerall, and then, of course, one Mark Stoops. The information, what she put down, her little snippet there, is behind a paywall. And for that reason, we're only going to highlight what they said about Mark Stoops and the potential of going to Kentucky. If you listened today on the roundtable with Round Daddy James Strebel, he read it out and he kind of talked about his opinion on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and let him take it away and let him tell you the news of what's there behind there, what they actually said about Mark Stoops and the potential of him going and being at Virginia Tech.
So here's what she says. Speaking of Summerall's potential interest in Kentucky, an interesting name being tossed around behind the scenes is longtime Kentucky head coach Mark Stoops. A rough start to the 2025 season and only 2 double-digit win seasons in 12 completed seasons has Kentucky rumored to be considering a change. Stoops possesses a 47.6% win percentage during his tenure. Kentucky is not the easiest place to build a program, but Stoops has done that well. They appeared in a bowl game every year from 2016 to 2023 in a display of notable consistency. He has recruited well, though there is growing concern about a lack of in-state recruiting and declining on-field results. Stoops' tenure at Kentucky has been mired in controversy. From questionable decision-making to a revolving door of offensive coordinators to a public feud with former men's basketball coach John Calipari has been on the receiving end of a lot of criticism. Even former players are beginning to call for head coaching change. Could Virginia Tech provide the fresh start that Stoops needs?
And that's where we're going to kind of go with this. And let's be clear and let's just be honest from the get-go with this one. I'm going to say this story at this point has no legs. There is no honest evidence or proof that Virginia Tech, A, once it is pursuing Mark Stoops, and B, well, I would say that Mark Stoops is interested, but here's the thing. Mark Stoops may need to find interest somewhere. And in an ACC school, no matter what you want to do, if you want to dog the ACC and talk about how it ain't the Big Ten, it ain't the SEC, it's still a Power 4 program and a team that you can get a new fresh start, if you will, if you're Mark Stoops. Kentucky got bailed out already once. Kentucky was bailed out. Seeing John Calipari take take the road on down to Arkansas and get a fresh start there, saving UK a lot of money on a buyout that things were going poorly there, and saving the relationship between Calipari and the Big Blue Faithful. Well, hopefully. I think it can be mended down the line. Additionally, you look down the road at Louisville, and Louisville received a similar buyout when things were not going so well and were getting embarrassed on the regular by the Big Blue by the Wildcats under Mark Stoops, and seeing Scott Satterfield eat these L's consistently in the rivalry. He took the road down to Cincinnati, got a fresh start. Now they're in the top 25, and Jeff Brom is at Louisville. Now things seem to be going a similar direction for Stoops. He tried to get out one time. He tried to hit the road down to Texas A&M, and the fans had a full revolt. They were not having it. They were not going to let it happen. They went full Tennessee. I don't see Virginia Tech being the same kind of school to go full Tennessee. Virginia Tech at this point, for all the prestige and the history they have for their football program, it is a far cry from that. And it's been a long time since it's even been competitive in that nature. I look at Virginia Tech, and I mean, just now, are they even allocating the proper funds to their football program, to their athletics department in general? So no, I don't see Virginia Tech fans having the same kind of backlash for Mark Stoops. I also don't know if they're vocal enough, if they exist enough in that hemisphere to stop a Mark Stoops move to Virginia Tech. At the same time, I do wonder. I'll say this: I feel like, James Strebel said it on the show, I do think it actually is a pretty good fit. You're competing in the ACC, not as good competition, while at the same time he said there are 9 games, and then he said, but then you'll be adding Boston College or whatever. Okay, at the same time, yes, you're adding Boston College, but you're also adding on Miami, number 2 team in the nation, probably going to beat up on Louisville this weekend. You still have to play. Well, Dapo and Clemson, if they ever get it right and get it together. And then you also still have to have Florida State, which is where he came from, which I thought a couple years ago when Mike Norvell was eating it big time, I thought maybe Mark Stoops would be able to ease his way back in there, back into the good graces, and maybe move over there. Then it seems that isn't going to happen. In short, confirmed wins are no guarantee in either league. But at the same time, yes, it's not competing in the SEC, and you're not going up against Georgia or Alabama or LSU or Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. You're not having to take on them. Or maybe it'll be Florida and Lane Kiffin next year. Who knows? At this point in time, the best thing that could happen would be for Mark Stoops to be able to find his way over to a Virginia Tech, to somewhere else. At this point, though, the reason that we talk about this, because it is a news story, there's nothing to really confirm that this is even in the mindset of happening. It's not even in the spectrum of reality at this time, as much as Kentucky fans would love to, especially given his press conference on Monday, where he's trying to talk about the identity of his team. He talks about how they're hardworking, they're trying hard, but that doesn't mean that's going to equivalent to wins. And he just hopes that maybe they can get a couple wins here or there. Either way, I think, too, you look at the way things panned out in Penn State with James Franklin being pushed out there. They're willing to pony up with that kind of money. Supposedly Kentucky has all the funds to make it happen. I've heard about LLCs. I've heard about all kinds of different things. I've heard about the amount of money, and we know about the amount of money the SEC gives them. I feel like right now, if you're Kentucky and you're a big boy football program and you're trying to you're not a big boy football program, but you're trying to compete with the big boy football programs, and you want to say that you plan to develop and continue to have a football program that competes with the big boys and to one day be a big boy football program. Now is your time that you have to make the move. Now is your time that Mark Stoops, if he cares about what's best for this program, if he cares about his career and making things better for him and continuing to coach in the game at a high level, Virginia Tech would be a perfect slot for him to move over. We'll see what happens, and we'll watch this, and we'll continue to talk about it as it continues to maybe permeate, if it gets any legs there. Maybe it's just Jimmy Sexton trying to get in his name and put it in here or there, wherever little spot may come up. Is Penn State going to be the next one that mentions Mark Stoops? We'll see. But at this point right now, all Kentucky fans and Big Blue Faithful can do is maybe hope, maybe say a little prayer, and hope that Virginia Tech starts to get a little goo-goo eyes for one Mark Stoops. And let's not kid ourselves. At the same time, there is truth to the story. You saw it in the article, or I guess what people read. There's truth to them looking at, oh, it's just Kentucky. Oh, it was just Kentucky. And Big Blue Nation did a good job of trying to sell it. Please don't take our Stoops. Don't take our Stoops. Take our Stoops. Please take our Stoops. That's what they want. Take Stoops to get him out of here, please. That's what they want. The way that big time football programs, and I say that with quotations because it's been a while since Virginia Tech's been viewed as a big time football program. But how Virginia Techs are looked at, that's a team where you could say, it's Kentucky football. It's Vanderbilt. James Franklin getting his move up. The guy who's currently there, I'm blanking on his name. It's whatever. Oh, he was able to do all this. Hey, he's struggling there now because it's Kentucky. He did all he could. Time for him to step over here, and he will have that success again. And hopefully that's the way they were perceived for the betterment of Kentucky. And maybe Mitch Barnhart can get bailed out once again in the last 2 years, getting out of another ridiculous contract situation. Let me know your thoughts, opinions in the comment section down below. You think there's any legs to this? You think it'll happen? Or is it probably just KSR and this one Amber Marie talking about it, and we'll see if it ever happens. Let me know all of that in the comment section below. If you haven't already, do me a solid favor, smash that freaking like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. You can follow me at Justin Soforo on Twitter, and of course you can follow ESPN 680 and 93.9 The Ville on all the other associated platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that. I'll see you guys next time. Cards, Cats, Bourbon, and Bluegrass. See ya.